Food service distribution. It's easy, right? A restaurant, a school, maybe a hospital orders food and the food is delivered. Well, let's learn from Julie Cole, Senior Vice President of Distribution Solutions at Meal Ticket, if that's really the case. Julie will walk us through how technology plays a crucial role in ensuring efficiency and profitability for distributors. In a business that has arguably existed for a very long time, we'll hear from Julie the near impossibility of operating a distribution business without technology to assist. Enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome to the Boost Numbers podcast. I'm your host, Phil Bachman. Here on the Boost Numbers podcast, we talk to leaders and entrepreneurs, founders, technology folks about the businesses they're in, the changes they're making, the solutions they're building, and hope to learn a little bit about them and what they're doing and who they are. I'm excited today to talk with Julie Cole, Senior Vice President of Distribution Solutions at Meal Ticket, because for me personally, it's in an area I'm unfamiliar with, food distribution. So I'll be fascinated to hear about how that works with technology because we all live it every single day. So welcome, Julie.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here. I appreciate the invitation.
I think it'll be interesting for a lot of folks. The marriage of something that you could argue has been around a very long time. You know, moving food around to places is something we've lived, as part of the human existence, I would say. But then I can only imagine what technologies are needed to really optimize and help companies in this modern era. But before I say too much more about Meal Ticket, which I don't work there and I don't know a ton about it, I'd love to learn a little bit more about you, Julie, like your kind of background, how you came into this space, what you do at Meal Ticket. And of course, we can get into what the solutions Meal Ticket is providing to get us started.
Yeah, thank you. When I graduated from college, I immediately went into technology and I worked for a software company. And then through kind of it's a long story. I ended up at a food service distributor. We'll just leave it at that. And I was with a broadline, which means basically anything that they sell absolutely everything that a restaurant might need. A broadline distributor here where I live in New Hampshire. And I was there for about 12 years. And I can tell you, Bill, that I got there and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Like, I had no idea what
Yeah.
food service distribution was all about. I just sat there and learned because
Yeah.
it sounds simple and you learn very quickly that it's not. It actually is a very complicated setup. But I was there for about 12 years. I loved everything that I did. I felt I was very passionate about what we were doing because it's hard. We were an independent distributor, just like any other independent business. It's hard. You have to work really hard every day to compete and to better yourself and plan for the future and strategize and so forth. And I loved it. And as a part of that process of growing and becoming a more mature distributor and doing more and more, we had to embrace technology because we just couldn't do
Hmm.
it. You just couldn't do it without technology. And I loved it because that was my background was technology, so it was a little bit easier for me to embrace. But I thought everything that we were doing was fantastic, and ultimately ended up going to work for the company that's technology that I was embracing. So TrackMax was a solution that we brought on board with my distributor. And when I got the itch to get back into technology, it was a very easy move for me to go there because I knew what it did. I believed in it. I loved the software, and it was a great opportunity to get back into technology with something that I truly believed in. And that was about 12 years ago. So for the last 12 years, been doing basically anything and everything to support the distributor business through the technology offerings that we have. Started out with just two products. And then about 6 years ago, we came together with a company called Meal Ticket. We were just TrackMax by ourselves. Then Meal Ticket and TrackMax came together, and now we had six different solutions available for distributors. So I've been doing everything to support distributors with those solutions, whether it be consulting, whether it be tech support, everything that you can do. I've had the opportunity to do, and I think you can probably tell I love it. I absolutely love it. It is a great day to be able to work with these people that I care so very much about, and I'm talking about our customers and be able to provide solutions that we have that I know help them help better their business overall. So that's how I am. That's how I got to where I am today, and I love it. We have some exciting things going on that I'll talk about in just a little bit. But there you go. That's the 101 on Julie Cole.
Well, I appreciate that. And you said something interesting to me because having the benefit of a perhaps a little longer career. There are times when you're really with a great team and a great organization doing things you like, and those are the moments you look for. A lot of our careers, there's moments where you might be bouncing around. So it's great that you've had this much of a run with an organization and continuing in your recent role.
Mhm.
That's great because we all want to get up and work on something we want to work on. We want to work with people we want to work with. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with your success in the organization. Is just the people around you and your love of the space. So it's good to hear.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So I saw a little bit about Meal Ticket, just doing some of the research and a focus, as I'm looking at the website and looked at some of the articles that you've put out. Like on LinkedIn, for example, and there's, kind of a focus on margin optimization. I'm sure there's a whole lot more around it. But is that a primary focus of what you do, is it really help these guys optimize and run a food supply chain? Help us understand what Meal Ticket does.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where we get into the complexity, piece of it, but and people will you'll probably be the same. You'll be like, "Wow, I never had any idea that that was the case." But
Yeah.
when you talk about, food service distribution, you're literally talking about it's almost like a grocery store. Where a food service distributor is almost like a giant grocery store to operators of all sorts. And when we say operators, it's anyone who's consuming food. So it could be a restaurant, it could be a school, it could be doesn't really matter. Anyone who's going to be consuming food. But anyway, as a distributor, you obviously have a warehouse full of food and you are taking orders and delivering that food to the operators. And that's where a lot of people think the story ends. And it's a pretty bland story. And that's not how it is anymore. There may have been a time when that's how it worked, but that time has long gone. So now in a scenario, it's such that I, as a distributor, am obviously have a customer. So I buy. Let's say French fries. I buy French fries, I store it in my warehouse, and then I sell it to this clam hut down the street type of thing. In the old days, it would have been, well, I bought it for this, I sold it for this, so the difference between that is how much money I made. And I just need to make enough money to cover for fuel and trucks and the lights and all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. Then somewhere along the way, and I guess I'm pleased as punch because now I have a job because of it, this started to become much, much more complex. So now it came into a play of like, well, this particular clam hut that's buying my product is a really great customer and I want to keep their business. So I, as a distributor, am going to give them 1% back every quarter, let's say. So I'm going to cut them a check every quarter and say, here's 1% back of your purchases. Thank you for being a great customer. Okay. So that adds one layer of complexity there because
Yep.
now I have to be tracking that and understanding that. And I need to be able to pay it, but I also need to understand the impact it has on my profitability because that's an expense that I as a distributor am taking on. Fine. Okay. So there's one layer. I can make it through that. Then the second layer is, okay, well, those French fries that I'm selling to that particular clam hut, well, they're high volume. And the manufacturer who makes those French fries, so let's say it's McCain or Cavendish, doesn't really matter, really wants to maintain that business and wants to show that particular operator how much they appreciate having that business. So they say, hey, you're such a great customer. Every time you buy that, I'm going to give you $3 off a case. What
Hmm.
happens then is the supplier tells the distributor, "Hey, when the Clam Hut buys it, you have to give them $3 off a case, and then at the end of the month, quarter, whatever, bill me back for that amount." Okay, so now the distributor has to track that 1% that they're giving, but they also have to track that $3 that they're giving on behalf of the
Yeah.
supplier. And by the way, they're kind of acting like a bank because they're giving it to that customer off invoice and having to wait to collect. So it's really important that they be able to collect as quickly as possible. The story does not end there. Now we've got McCain over here who says, "Hey, Mr. Distributor, I really want you to promote my products above and beyond everything that you're doing, that type of thing. So we're going to put together a marketing plan, and I'm going to pay you 3% of FOB on everything that you buy, and I want you to use those funds to market me, put me in your trade show, do flyers, anything like that." Now the distributor has to manage and track that piece. Then
Mhm.
you have things called buying groups, which are cooperatives that collect
Yep.
all these
Sure.
independent distributors together and do deals and such on their behalf. Those also have to be tracked and so forth. So you've got all this noise that is going on now, right? So I was not with we were not a large distributor, but reached a point where I was tracking about 3,000 programs. That's
Wow.
complicated. It's
Yeah.
complicated and you can't do it on a spreadsheet. You can try, You can try because people say it's math. But when you get to 3,000, that's a lot of math and that's a lot of mistakes. So
Yeah.
that was the genesis of the original creation of TrackMax, which was really around what we call rebate management, which was helping on all of that perspective, making it extremely efficient and making it extremely accurate. Because if you miss on any one of those things, it can be big bucks really shortly in a very short period of time. And distributors, they're working on really small margins, so they can't afford to be losing money because they forgot to track something or tracked it incorrectly or that type of thing. So that was like the foundational piece. That's the product that has been in the market for 30 plus years, is a great product and helps a lot of people like me not lose my mind and make sure that we're collecting everything and so forth. But the beauty of it is that once you get that piece out of the way and you know that you're tracking everything accurately and so forth, imagine what the impact of all of those different things that I talked about has on your profitability. Like, how much money did I actually make when I sold that case of French fries to that customer when they had a 1% bill back and we had the $3 discount and we had this when we bought it and all that? It's really hard, and if not impossible, for a distributor to really understand what their profitability looks like so that they can make better decisions on everything. That was our next step. That's the next place that we went. We developed a product called Insights that provided that type of data. Now we're able to, with our next product offering, it's called TrackMax Plus. We've taken all 6 of those products and integrated them into a single platform
Mhm.
to allow us to leverage the data across anything that a distributor is doing. So, yes, it's important to have the rebate management piece and understand profitability, but that should be driving your promotions, your digital marketing. If you know that these are your 3 most profitable items, when you put together a flyer for Tyson, make sure you talk about those 3 most profitable items. Or you're doing a food show or trade show, you need to get directive to your supplier partners on the things that they should be focusing on. So all of these pieces are coming together with this flat layer of incredibly important data to then drive those activities and help these distributors be better. That's what I always say, be better. And if be better is grow your sales, if be better is grow your bottom line, whatever it is, we have the data set to help them do that and leverage the tools that we have to help them do that.
Yeah. So if I'm sitting here thinking about the complexity, and if I was opening a distribution hub, thought I wanted to get in that business, just what you described to me, I would say, okay, first thing I'm going to do is buy your platform because I'm going to be lost without it. But then it kind of just becomes the state of doing business in that space. You solve that problem and you do it well as a distributor. You have to now be able to handle all these things. I'm also thinking about all the complexity of promotions. My head was just spinning on, people that want to differentiate, operators that want to differentiate. The past 12 years you've been in that space, so leading up to like an agentic AI. Your thoughts on that?
It's interesting because I feel like we're maturing along with the market, which is good.
Mhm.
And it's moving, but it's moving quickly. I mean, you know that anyone who's paying attention to AI right now knows that you've got to evaluate it weekly at this point. That's not even monthly
Yeah.
or quarterly. You've got to evaluate the tools that are being used because they're just so quickly leapfrogging each other and with the capabilities they can do and so forth. But I would say, originally it was we were providing the really valuable data to our consumers, and then saying, okay, now go do something about it. And that was fine, and that worked for a little while. And then I would say, at the time we didn't call it tactical, but now I do call it tactical AI, where we're doing things like recommendations. So
Mhm.
if you're a pizza shop, we know that you're probably buying these things, and therefore and I can tell from your order guide you're not buying this from us, so therefore we're gonna, say you should buy these things from us. That type of stuff makes sense. It's general modeling, but that was AI. But that's pretty tactical at this point. So where we're going at this point is so in this major data layer that's at the
Mhm.
bottom that has all that most important data, we're working to integrate the AI component into it so that stage one is okay, you can ask us a question and we'll just tell you the answer. But even
Right.
that is going to be a very short period of time because ultimately what we want to be doing is telling you information that you didn't even know you needed based on
Right.
that data that we have. So really not suggestive selling, but just looking at that data set. And there's two layers of it too. There's, looking at the distributor's data set and analyzing that and saying like, okay, I think you need to pay attention to this, this, and this based on your data and what I'm seeing and that type of thing. That's hugely important. And something that we have to be extremely careful with. Obviously, data is the most important thing that we have, and we have to be incredibly careful with it. But that being said, and that's what I always say to people when they're talking about AI is like, just be careful with where you're sharing your data and the tools you're using, because some of it you may not even know. You're just putting it out in the universe for everyone else to see also. So got to be very careful about that. But that being said, your data set is incredibly important, but the rest of the data that's out there in the universe is also incredibly important. So if you can marry it together and take, industry trends, or I don't care if it's weather forecast, it doesn't really matter. Take that and marry it with that distributor specific data. You can make some pretty amazing things happen. So right now, I would say we're past the tactical. We're into the stage of, okay, ask us questions and we'll give you results, but moving very quickly towards you don't even have to have a question. I'll just tell you what's going on and what you might want to think about doing. And that's really
Yeah.
exciting. And it almost makes the tools like, the tool itself isn't even necessary anymore. I mean, it is, but it isn't as much when you have this, amazing agent who's just telling you, you don't have to go in and run 5 reports to figure out where losing
Right.
margin or this or that. I'm just going to tell you. So go act on that, and then you don't even have to take the time to, click through these reports or do this analysis or whatever else. So it's an interesting time. That's what I say today. Ask me in a month, Bill, and I might have a different answer because we might have come up with the next greatest thing to do.
Right. Right.
But I'm fortunate in that the company Meal Ticket has really, really embraced AI. We have an AI think tank that's helping us in every single thing that we're doing. So not just our software, but like literally
Right.
how we're operating as a company also.
Yes.
And it's from top down. It's fully supported, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. We're getting a
It's
lot of things
exciting.
done quickly. Yeah.
It's exciting. And I think in a space like this there's great like examples and use cases and productivity comes out of it because you have this data that's unique to the space. So one topic I did want to ask you about in your new role,
Uh-huh.
you probably are pulled into a million sales meetings and customer calls and all that to help tell this story and get
Uh-huh.
really deep and really hit those proof points, those value points. So in a given week, what percentage of your time is spent, speaking to customers about this with salespeople out of an
75.
80-hour week, by the way?
I
I fully
know, I
understand.
know. I was just thinking about, and here's the thing, and I do mean it. Like I looked at my schedule today and I was like, I have exactly 30 minutes that is not scheduled today right now. And
Yeah.
that's not woes me because I love what I do,
Yeah.
but I think 90% of my day today has been talking with
Yeah.
people like you, talking with customers, helping sales,
Hmm.
helping the internal teams. Um, and I mean, I'm the luckiest girl in the world. I clearly, I'm a little passionate about what we're talking about here. And to be able to talk with anybody who is receiving that data and getting excited about it, that's just a great day. So yes, a lot of my
Yeah.
time, I've spent the last 4 weeks on the road, going to different trade shows and industry events and that type of thing. But it doesn't get old. I love it. Although I was pretty excited to be home this week, I will say that.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
travel,
Travel.
travel is travel, but uh,
Travel's travel. There's pros and cons. I've done a lot of
yeah.
it. Well, and I think folks in your role, my sales background being in technology, you always wanted to bring someone along that knows everything because you're trying to sell a solution if you're the salesperson, but you also want someone that's into it, passionate. It just builds a confidence. And I'm sure the folks you work with are extremely fortunate and happy to have you come into the room and let that come through. Versus just kind of a very black and white technical kind of an approach or certain personalities. We've all been there. You bring folks
Yeah.
into a meeting, you're like, maybe I shouldn't have done this, but I'm sure they're in good hands. As I said at the top of the session, it's just an interesting space. Unless you're in it, you just don't really think about it.
Mhm.
I've spent a lot of years in healthcare, and I tell stories in healthcare. People same kind of reaction, like, "How does that work?" And so
Mhm.
same in this food distribution space. So you've certainly cast a light on the complexity and the need for technology, just like any other industry, which I think is really fascinating. As we approach time here, is there anything you would like to share? Any story, anything we should know about you that we didn't get to? Not to put you on the spot, but is there anything you'd like to share?
Somebody asked me, I will just say this because it's It's true. So we just launched TrackMax Plus, which is the new
Mhm.
platform. So that's where we really brought the 6 products into one, and I'm kinda living the dream, on front of that. But, it's rare that number 1 is it's honestly, it's rare that you love your job, right? And I'm
Yep.
not gonna say that every single Monday morning I wake up and I'm like, "I can't wait to get to my desk." That would not
Yeah.
be true, but, we're in a really interesting place right now with our particular industry, our particular solutions, what we're offering, and that type of thing. And to be able to impact, because I truly think over the course of the next 9, 12 months, we are literally, legitimately going to impact our segment of the industry because of the solutions that we are delivering. I'm the luckiest girl in the world. I don't know what else to say about that. I love what I'm
That's
doing. I
great.
love where we're going, and I will not stop talking about it.
Yeah.
I'll tell anyone who
Yeah.
wants to listen.
Yeah, well, you'll continue to set that bar of what's capable and how to operate and be as efficient as possible. Super exciting. Thanks so much for sharing today. I love it. I love to learn about things I don't know anything about. So I know I've learned something today, and folks will to see clips and watch the podcast or listen to it, whatever way they grab it. So, Julie, thanks so much. We can find them at mealticket.com. If you're out in that space and want to learn more, anywhere else they should look for you? LinkedIn,
Yep,
probably everywhere, right?
LinkedIn, all the places. All the
I
places
got
you'll
it.
find us.
Perfect. Well, again, thanks to Julie Cole from Meal Ticket for joining us today on the Boost Numbers podcast. It was a great conversation. Thanks again, Julie.
Thanks, Phil.